You all know the borders of countries around the world. We have this, or this. But what if I told you that some people think that their borders should be larger than the ones they have today? No, we're not talking about territorial disputes, but we'll be talking about the movements that claim and seek to occupy territory considered quote-unquote lost or unredeemed to the nation based on history or legend. And I am referring to Irredentism, and that's the topic we will discuss in this video. In Europe, there are many Irredentist movements, but we'll focus on some of the most notorious ones, and there are quite a lot of them in Southeastern Europe. We'll be talking about Irredentism in Hungary, Greece, and Albania. One of the most notorious Irredentist movements is in Hungary. Hungary's borders are quite recognizable today, but what if I tell you that they used to be a lot bigger? It looked like this, which includes territories of modern-day Slovakia, Ukraine, Romania, Serbia, Croatia, and even Austria and Slovenia. Prior to the end of World War I, the Kingdom of Hungary had these borders as part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, with the Kingdom of Croatia-Slavonia being a nominally autonomous kingdom. Hungary had always been quite a massive country after the settlement of the Magyars in the Carpathian Basin, with its influence extending into Croatia, Bosnia, and Moldavia. Even though the Ottomans would eventually conquer Hungary, it would later be incorporated into the Habsburg domain. The pre-World War I borders of the Kingdom of Hungary were defined by the Austro-Hungarian Compromise in 1867, which put Hungary into a dual monarchy with Austria. However, Austria-Hungary would eventually enter into periods of not exactly being winners in World War I, and the winners decided what is to be done with the defeated country. And they decided to partition both the Austrian and the Hungarian halves of the empire. The reason is simple. Hungary before the partition is not exactly a homogeneous country, since the Kingdom of Hungary had many ethnicities, such as Slovaks, Romanians, South Slavs, and Germans, which are not exactly keen on the Hungarian leadership in its policy of Magyarization. They frankly wanted out, and many of these ethnicities wanted to join their motherlands. Hungary's neighbors, Romania and Serbia, also had a claim on the Habsburg Empire, and they were respected because they were part of the winning teams. Friends get rewards. Now, the history during this period is far more complicated, as a lot of things were instrumental in influencing the Allies' decisions, such as the brief communist period in Hungary, the subsequent Hungarian-Romanian War, and the Polish-Soviet War. In the end, the Allies dictated the Treaty of Trianon to the Hungarians, which mostly defined most of the current borders of Hungary today. Hungary lost 2/3 of its territory, including a significant population of ethnic Hungarians, to neighboring countries. And this is the point that the Hungarian Irredentism was born. During the interwar period, Hungary under Horthy Miklós strongly wanted to restore Hungary's lost territories, or at least recover lost territories with mostly Hungarian speakers, like those in parts of Slovakia, in Székely land in Transylvania, and parts of Banat. This made Hungary's neighbors quite nervous, who formed the Little Entente with French backing to counter any Hungarian attempts at invasion. Eventually, Hungary aligned with the Axis powers mainly to partially recover its lost territories. It managed to recover northern Transylvania, parts of Slovakia, Carpathian Ruthenia, and parts of Yugoslavia. But of course, By allying with the losers, Hungary naturally lost its conquests, including a few more Hungarian villages to Czechoslovakia, and its modern borders were defined. After World War II, Hungary became a satellite state of the USSR, setting aside its irredentist politics. Today, Hungary does not have official territorial claims against its neighbors, but since the Soviets left the country, some irredentist ideas resurfaced among Hungarian nationalists. It became more pronounced with the ruling party of Hungary today, Fidesz. Orban Viktor even wore a scarf containing the map of Greater Hungary, causing a backlash among its neighbors, including Romania, Slovakia, and Ukraine. Right now, there is a significant Hungarian minority in southern Slovakia, Zakarpattia Oblast of Ukraine, northern Vojvodina in Serbia, and parts of Transylvania in Romania. Issues and concerns surrounding the Hungarian minority rights are discussed in the respective countries, and Hungary always takes a look at these issues. The Trianon syndrome is alive and relevant among many Hungarian nationalists and even in the government, which continues to cause issues with its neighbors, especially Romania, Slovakia, and Ukraine. Overall, Hungarian Irredentism is alive and kicking in many Hungarian societies thanks to the trauma brought by the Treaty of Trianon. It is most likely that the syndrome will remain for the foreseeable future, but it is very unlikely that Hungary will actually pursue reclaiming its old territories since it has its own issues and they are part of NATO. In the Balkans, arguably the land of Irredentism, Greater Greece is one of the most notorious Irredentist movements. The one you saw in the thumbnail is not even the greatest extent of Greek Irredentism. It was mostly the lands that the Greek government wanted to annex after World War I. Greek Irredentism is more famously known as the Megali idea, an Irredentist concept that expresses the goal of reviving the Byzantine Empire. The Megali idea envisions a Greek state that stretches from northern Epirus up to the large chunks of Anatolia and sometimes Cyprus, at the expense of its neighbors such as Albania and especially Greece's best and worst frenemy, Turkey. The Byzantine Empire was a great empire with its capital at Constantinople before the Ottoman Turks made its existence impossible. As the Ottoman Empire expands, it would eventually control most, if not all, of the Greek-speaking areas. Some of these Greek-speaking areas revolted in the early 19th century, fueled by the growing trend of nationalism, and a fairly small Greek state was established. This Greek state, which eventually became the Kingdom of Greece, wanted to incorporate all of the Greek-speaking areas into Greece itself, especially those in the Ottoman Empire, giving birth to Megali idea. Greece and the Ottoman Empire would fight several times from the point of Greek independence up to the start of World War I, and Greece actually expanded quite a lot. However, Greece's grand aim was Constantinople and the Greek-speaking areas of Anatolia. After the defeat of the Ottomans in 1918, Greece was given parts of eastern Thrace and Anatolia, but Constantinople became an international zone, which is really just Britain but with extra steps. And the other areas in Anatolia were given to Italy and France. But that wasn't the biggest problem with the realization of the Megali idea. Instead, it was the Turkish actions. While the Ottomans accepted the armistice, the Turkish people did not, and they fought ferociously to save their country. They eventually defeated the Greeks and pushed them out of Anatolia. leading the Megali idea to failure. The subsequent Greek-Turkish population exchange further diminished Greek presence in Anatolia, making any future Megali idea plans harder to execute. And lastly, Turkey gained control of Constantinople and renamed it Istanbul, firmly putting the city under Turkish control. Greece now focused on maintaining good relations with its Turkish neighbor, but a smaller opportunity for Greek Irredentism would soon present itself. Enosis with Cyprus. Cyprus was under the control of Britain, but it was populated by both Greeks and Turks. Greek nationalists seek the incorporation of Cyprus into Greece, but this caused a backlash among Turks, who were not keen on being increasingly suppressed. This led to a conflict in Cyprus that culminated in the Turkish invasion of the island. The Turks were able to control northern Cyprus, and Enosis again failed to materialize. Greek-Turkish relations soured, and along with its issues concerning territorial waters, their relations are currently complicated. Today, the Greek government currently doesn't officially exhibit Irredentist claims, but some Greek ultranationalist groups, such as the Golden Dawn, openly call for a greater Greece, and they strongly support the revival of the Megali idea. It could also be a card used by Greek nationalists to counter Turkish and even Albanian and North Macedonian narratives, and this is prevalent in comment sections. Even calling Istanbul Constantinople could spark a heated exchange of comments between Greeks and Turks. While Greater Greece is not as prevalent as Greater Hungary, the idea itself, it could be brought out by Greek ultranationalists on occasion, with Enosis being a more prevalent alternative Irredentist force. Another infamous example of Irredentism in the Balkans is Albania. It's so notorious that I even included it in my All Endings Russian Invasion of Ukraine video, which totally did not age well. Coined by Albanian nationalists as Ethnic Albania and broadly as Greater Albania, this Irredentist concept seeks to unify all ethnic Albanian areas into a Greater Albanian state. While the Republic of Albania today is pretty modest in terms of size, there is a sizable ethnic Albanian population outside of Albania's borders, such as those in the western portion of North Macedonia, most of the disputed Kosovo, and small parts of Greece, Montenegro, and Serbia excluding Kosovo. Albania was a part of the Ottoman Empire back then, but when of course nationalism ramped up during the 20th century, some Albanian nationalists advocate for cultural and political autonomy for ethnic Albanians inside the framework of the Ottoman Empire, through the League of Prizren. The League wanted the merger of the Ottoman vilayets with significant Albanian populations into a single Albanian vilayet. It's quite massive, and it even includes non-Albanian lands. Naturally, the Ottomans did not grant them that, but Albanian nationalism during the late 19th century was a bit different. Albanians hoped for a greater autonomous Albanian state, at least within the Ottoman Empire, if not complete independence. And that is due to the decline of the Ottoman Empire itself and the posing threat of Greek and Serbian nationalism at the expense of Albanian populated areas. During the Balkan Wars, Albania emerged as an independent nation. Well, sort of. Firstly, Greater Albania was not realized, as Serbia and Greece would control territories with significant Albanian populations. Also, Albania's fate was basically at the mercy of great powers who have overlapping interests in the new country. But after all the World War I chaos, Albania maintained its independence. In 1939, fascist Italy invaded Albania. it capitulated fairly quickly, but as a sort of compensation, Italy would help realize Greater Albania and foster Albanian nationalism under Italian protection. True to their words, Italy annexed parts of Kosovo, Montenegro, and North Macedonia to Albania when they invaded Yugoslavia. To Italy, this helped bolster Albanian support by giving them what they wanted. However, circumstances for the Axis and Greater Albania would soon crumble as they soon lost the war. Yugoslavia would reclaim its Albanian-held territories, while Albanian partisans would soon prevail and establish a communist government. Albania would later focus on fermenting a communist society, and after breaking off from Yugoslav, Soviet, and Chinese influence, guided by their bunker energy, Albania emerged as a nation cut off from the rest of the world. However, there are also Albanians living near Albania's borders, including Kosovo, which has seen an increasing trend of Albanians becoming more predominant in the region. Slowly but surely, Albanian nationalism emerged in Kosovo, which is problematic for the Serbs and the Yugoslav Authority. And when it was time for Yugoslavia to tear itself apart, many Kosovar Albanians, especially the Kosovo Liberation Army, took the chance and tried to break off Yugoslav/Serbian rule for independence and hopefully to join Albania. The Kosovo War was devastating, and it even forced NATO to intervene and bomb Serbia proper. The collapse of communism also coincided with the resurgence of Albanian nationalism among Albanians and the desire for Greater Albania among Albanian nationalists, which include the Kosovo Liberation Army. Of course, Kosovo is not the only place Albanians want to incorporate into Greater Albania. In Preševo Valley and North Macedonia, Albanian nationalists also wish to secede and hopefully join Albania, though they haven't due to resistance from Belgrade and Skopje. Kosovo got de facto independence from Serbia, which it rejects, and it continues to consider it as part of Serbia. Many in Kosovo and Albania support unification, but in Albania, some are skeptical as it would have economic and geopolitical ramifications, while in Kosovo, some just prefer independence. Even though the Republic of Albania today does not have official territorial claims against its neighbors, many Albanians continue to support and promote Albanian Irredentism. Significant populations of ethnic Albanians live in Kosovo and Preševo Valley, southeastern and eastern Montenegro, western portions of North Macedonia, and parts of Epirus in Greece where Cham Albanians reside. These areas are usually included within Greater Albania, alongside Albania proper. For instance, even Dua Lipa, who had just received Albanian citizenship, actively promoted Greater Albania. Albanian nationalist groups would openly spread this narrative, often targeted against Serbs, Greeks, and other groups. Naturally, Albania's neighbors aren't so keen on having a neighbor that openly covets your own territory, and Serbia counters this by asserting that Kosovo rightfully belongs to Serbia. This has been the source of tension between Albania and Serbia, and to some extent other neighbors of Albania, and this is one of the most infamous examples of ethno-nationalism in the Balkans, a land full of ethno-nationalism. Today though, Greater or ethnic Albania remains an idea propagated by Albanian nationalists, and it continues to irritate Albania's neighbors. While Irredentism can have different interpretations, this video focused on ethno-nationalism and historical dimensions of Irredentism, as demonstrated by Irredentist movements in the countries discussed. The idea of Irredentism can be vague, but ultimately, two things are evident. It wants to make a country greater, and it angers countries or even individuals targeted by Irredentist narratives. This video only attempts to present facts and explain Irredentist phenomena in individual countries, and it does not intend to offend or degrade any nationality or ethnicity. Of course, you should go to the comment section to exchange ideas and information about this totally not controversial topic, right? Now, there are more than 3 Irredentist concepts, but I can explain more at another video. Ultimately, Irredentism is a powerful force in world politics. Pursuing Irredentism is costly and has a lot of ramifications, but aspiring Irredentist ideas are free of charge. Thank you for watching and please subscribe for more country neighbors.